So what we have now, we've already done the HTML in the first video. And when you look at it, again, it's all done in kind of sequential order. We weren't messing around with the banner or the nav, but we placed an image, and then we have placed a subheading, and then I have 2 paragraphs of Latin text. You'll have paragraphs, maybe more than 2, of something on your topic. And then I have another area called the right side, and I have a heading, and then I have a vertical unordered list. No CSS yet. See, we got the black dots, all that. So, and then a footer area that we haven't done anything with. So now we're going to deal with the CSS. And if I go in here, the first thing we're going to do is, if you remember, in the last video, we started to create a container and a box model, basically. Now, we haven't designed it, haven't done anything CSS to it, so it has no idea what it's supposed to look like. But we have a large container, and then we have the banner placed in a div called banner. And then we have the navigation that we already had in a div called navigation. Okay. And it ends right here. And then we have another area, main area, called main. And then we have the right side area here. Again, all placed in divs with ID names. And then at the bottom, we have a footer, which is always the bottom of the page. And then at the bottom, we close off the container right there. I like to do little comments, so let's put a comment on the container closing. Something like that. And that, notice it's in gray, and because we have the exclamation point, we have the angle brackets and 2 slashes, it makes it a comment. So it won't affect the coding whatsoever. But yeah, that's what I like to do. So we're going to go up to the CSS. Again, we already have the CSS done for the navigation, for the actual horizontal navigation. But we haven't done anything for a box model. So what I'd like to do is, here's the body, and we have a background color. I chose a background color from Color Lovers. I want you to go into Color Lovers. Again, on each page, if you want to have the same color scheme on every page, totally fine with me. If you want to switch it up on every page, great too. Okay, just as long as you have a color scheme that works for your topic. So I'm going to go below the body, hit the return key. I'm going to talk to the container. And that's what we called it down in the HTML. We gave a div ID of container. This width, we're going to make 1000 pixels, px. Okay, and then to get it in the middle, we're going to say margin :0 auto. And it's, again, the 0 is for the top and the bottom. Because we gave the computer 2 numbers, or two things, it knows the first is for the top and the bottom, and the second, auto, is for the left and the right. So thus, the computer finds the middle ground for us on whatever the device size or computer screen size is. So there you go. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we put our banner in a div called banner down here. We're going to talk to it up here. I'm going to go right below where I went, and I'm going to say number sign banner, and I'm going to make the width 1000 px, and then I think the height of our banner was 300. So that's the exact height and width of our banner. Okay, that was easy. Now I'm going to go below that, and we're going to talk to that that div that we made called navigation. And we're going to talk to that div. And the things we're going to do with it, we're going to give it a width of 1000 px. And I think that's it, because all the other CSS that we've done for the actual unordered list nav should stylize it. Okay, but this will keep it in that container div, that big box. The next thing we're going to do is talk to the main. And so we have a div on the left-hand side called main. And we're going to make it a majority. We have 1,000 pixels to work with. I think I'm going to make it 680 just to start. So sorry, width. There we go. Width 680 pixels, and we'll kind of bring it off. The reason I'm not going 700 and 300 is we have a little border, and which is a couple pixels. We're going to do some padding, which you have to add to the width of an area. And if you do padding and you do it all over, it's going to be on the left and the right. Not only the left, but the right. So you have to add it twice. Anyways, we're going to start there and see how we go. And let me see what else we did here. So I'll tell you what. This is what I did. I won't type it. This is the one that's done. Again, I'm talking to main. I made it 642 here. We can probably expand that a little bit, but we can start there and then kind of expand it a little bit. I'm floating it left. That's one of the main things that I'm doing. So let me copy this. And what I'll do is I'll copy the whole thing. I'll go back to our example. And this is where we're at here. Okay, and then I'll just kind of show you to kind of speed things up. But I want you to, again, type this out. So the width of our main is 642. We'll start there again. We can probably go up to about 680, maybe even 690. The padding, again, that means instead of 25 pixels, it's really 50 added to this number. Okay, so it's 6. The reason I went with 642 is you add 50 to this, you're already up to 692. So again, that's where that comes into play, because padding is on the left and the right, and you're worried about the width, not so much the height of things. So you have to whatever padding you have to add it to this number here. So the main thing is we're giving it a width, we're floating it left, which again creates empty space on the right-hand side for other things. We're giving it padding, which is, again, padding is empty space within an element, inside of main. Margin is outside the element, okay? So it's creating empty space inside that main div. And then we're creating a small dotted border of 3 pixels. Now I chose kind of an off-white, okay? But it says border right. It's only on the right-hand side, and it's 3 pixels. Now this number has to be added to this too. So you're adding 50 for the left and the right to this number, and then you're adding 3 to that number too, okay? That all comes into play. That's why I started low, okay? All right. So the next thing we're going to do is talk to the right side. Now again, what I'm doing is I'm giving it a width. Now this we're going to give it an exact width, and I'll tell you why. Because our unordered list, our vertical unordered list that's going in there is going to be 280 pixels wide, and it's going to fit nice and snug in there. I'm floating it left. Notice there's no pad. Well, there is padding. Sorry, there is padding. Interesting. I'll see what I can. We might have to take this away. I'll check on that. Height, I'm going to do auto, and the reason I'm going to do auto is it's just a way to make it kind of expand as needed. I could actually take that away. It'd probably be the same thing. The background, I have a color from a Color Lovers. The padding, 10 pixels. I might take this away. I'll have to look at that and see if that fits, because that's actually 20 pixels added to this number, which would be 300. And I'm saying that instead of 300, it's 280. So let me see what I did. When we get down to the unordered list, we'll check that out. The subheading on the right side div, it says for more information in the HTML, there's an H3 tag. Changing the font size. Now remember that one EM is normal size for an H3 tag, whatever that is. And I'm saying, hey, go a little bit more than that. And then I'm getting a color from Color Lovers and grab the hexadecimal color number. And then I'm aligning the text center. So the text is aligned center within the div. So in the main div, you'll see that the text, the subheading is right in the middle. Okay? And I got it because I did that line right there. All right, then we end that. And then we talk to the footer. Now the footer is just the bottom of the page. We gave it a width of the same as container. We gave it a height, an exact height of 40 pixels. I just grabbed a color. You want to get a hexadecimal color number that goes with your color scheme. And again, you want to get a color scheme that fits your topic, Okay, so just think about that. Maybe the colors in the banner, but they should all kind of work together for a theme. And then this line always forces it down below everything. Clear colon both. So that's a trick. It'll take the footer and always make it at the bottom. Okay. Now, this H4 tag is actually within the main area, I believe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say # main, and it's telling the computer, hey, computer, there's something called main down there, and inside main, that div main is an H4 tag. I only want you to work with that H4 tag, that particular one. No other H4 tag. If I had multiple H4 tags on the page, I could talk to one specifically just in the main area from all the others. So I'm grabbing a font family. I'm saying the font size is going to be twice whatever normal H4 size is. And I'm moving it from the left in to the right 100 pixels. Okay? Here's all our stuff for the nav. Okay? The navigation. And then, oops. Let me go below here. And again, I've already created this here, but I'll copy and paste it. So I like to go in sequential order also with the CSS to kind of help me design where things are. Okay, so here is a pick. And now again, this pick one, if I go down to the HTML, here's our nav, here's a div called main, and here is pick one. To really be specific, I can talk to pick one. Now remember, pick one is a class name, so I put a period before this name. The div is an ID name, so I use a number sign to talk to an ID name, and I use a period to talk to the class name. But I could go like this. I could say, where are you? Right here. I could say, hey, #main space dot pick one. And again, I'm telling the computer, hey, computer, there's a div down there, or something I gave an ID name called main. Inside of it, there's a class name called pick one for something. And here's what I want to do. I'm floating the image left. I'm giving 40 pixels of padding around the image just to create some empty space. The next thing we're doing is, again, the P tag. Now, again, this is actually in main. Okay? So we're saying, look, there's a div down there called main. Inside of it, there's a P tag, and here's what I want to do. Okay? And line height is the height in between each line of text in a paragraph. Okay? So if you up this to 5 EM, you'll have a whole bunch of empty space, or a whole bunch of space between one line, each line of your paragraph. You can try that out. The font size is 1.3 EM. I typically use 1.4 for anything kind of responsive that we're doing. If we're doing something for a smartphone, I'll raise the font size. Text align justify. This gives you nice clean vertical lines on your paragraphs on the left and the right side. Sometimes it's a little screwy because it will create empty spaces to make that work. So it all depends. You have to kind of play around with this and see if it's going to work for you. And then I changed the color of the text with this line. Again, I grabbed a color from Color Lovers. The next thing we're going to do is talk to the first letter of the paragraph, and we're going to create what's called a drop cap. Now again, I'm going to say $ main, and then inside main, talk to the paragraph and talk to the first letter. This is called a pseudo. So we're talking to the paragraph, and we're only talking to the first letter. Notice the first dash letter is in blue. Text Wrangler recognizes this as terminology within the language. Okay? Now we're doing some cool things here, and I'll just kind of go over kind of slowly maybe what we're doing. We're floating it left. I have a specific color for the text. I have a font size. I could use EM if I wanted for that. I have a line height, which basically it creates kind of spacing around it. I have padding, which creates empty space around it also. I have a certain font family of Georgia. I have a background color behind that first letter. I have 10 pixels on the margin right, which basically moves it to the left a little bit. And then I have a border radius, and the border radius makes that background have rounded corners. If I up that number to border radius, let me do that here. Instead of 8, I'll do 30. And if I open this, you'll see, now this is a little tight. You could expand the padding, but see how it's got rounded? Okay, and normally, as I said, if we were starting out with 8, so let me go back to 8 and save it, and then just show you. I think it's already, yeah. And then I'll refresh it. So now it's not as, again, if I wanted rounded, which is kind of cool, because you have so many squares going on here and straight lines, I could expand the padding and create that oval look or circular look around the first large letter. Okay? So let me go back to this really quick. That's what we're doing. Again, the first letter right there. And now this is for the menu. Let me go back to the page here. So now we're going to, let me see. Where are you at here? Oh, we're gonna design this. We just designed this. Now we're gonna go to the right side. Here's the subheading here. Here are the links. Okay. And to make that happen, I'm gonna go back and I gave a class name to the UL. Now I say the class name and then UL. It's basically the same thing. I could literally take that away. It'd be the same thing. But I'm having no margin and no padding. Okay? No empty space whatsoever. I'm making it a width of 280. Now the reason I did that was because our main area up here, or excuse me, our right side area is 280. Now I didn't take in consideration the 10 pixels on the left and the right, which would make this really 300. And I got to see if that's really going to make a big difference or not. So I'm going to go back down. And again, I gave a class name to the UL tag. So that's why I'm using menu_simple. Okay? And let me just kind of show you that really quick here. So, oh, I didn't. Never mind. I thought I did. Huh. Well, let me do that. Menu UL class equals menu, what's simple? I think that's what I called it. Let me see. Yeah, menu simple. So now that UL has a class name. So I'm saying, hey, there's something with a class name called menu simple. Inside of it, there's an A tag, and here's what we want to do. Okay? So here's what I'm doing to menu simple. These are comments. Notice I have a slash, asterisk, the comment, and then I close the comment area with an asterisk slash. Notice these are just the opposite. Slash, asterisk, asterisk, slash. Okay? And the comment in the middle. And it grays it out, and it's nice to put comments in your coding so you kind of see exactly where things are. The other thing I'm doing is I'm getting rid of those darn dots. By default, your list, if it's vertical, will have little dots next to each list item. So to get rid of that, I use that line right there. Okay. Now I'm talking to the A tag right here, and I'm saying text decoration none. That means it's getting rid of that underline. By default, the A tag will have an underline under it unless you write that first line text decoration none. I'm changing the color of the font, the text. I'm creating padding. Now I'm giving it 2 numbers. This is padding on the top and the bottom. This is padding on the left and the right. Okay? I'm giving it a background color. I'm display block. What this does is this will basically allow that whole A tag, the complete area, to be clickable. Okay, and then I'm expanding the font size, and I'm using EM again. So again, 1 EM, whatever that is for an A tag. This is a little bit larger than that. All right, next thing I'm doing is I'm talking to the hover state. Now again, I'm saying menu simple A hover. Okay, I'm changing the font color when you mouse over it, and I'm changing the background color when you mouse over it. So let me click that, and you get something like this. Okay, now I have to see how this, right now this is 280, and there's 10 pixels over here, and then 10 pixels over here that are padding. And if I take away that, if I expand this, take away the padding and expand this, it would probably go right to the line. And you can try that if you want. But there you go. And then at the bottom, I have a blue. Now, in no way does the blue footer go with any of this color scheme, but I didn't change it. So this is what I want your, what I'm calling the box model type page. Now, I don't want you to take your box model and just copy and paste it, because you're going to do more work to change it than you are just to type this stuff out. And you're only going to learn it if you keep typing it and typing it and typing it. Repetition. So that is it. And again, your page should look something like this. Okay, with the drop cap, really nice drop cap. You can probably get better, you know, again, my top banner is kind of a weird green color and a bright kind of reddish orange, you know, so it's not the best. But, you know, nice horizontal navigation in the middle, larger area over here on the left, and then smaller area for vertical links on the right. The drop cap, again, go with a different colored scheme. Have fun with that. Have fun with this, and just, you know, we're getting back into coding. So thanks.